Yeah, hoes calling. I think we're live again. Maybe it's better now. Something's not feeling right.
Find that on your page. There we go.
Something's not feeling right.
Well, hold up. Wait a minute. It sounds better.
We're better.
We're better,
It sounds
Benji?
better. Yeah, it sounds better.
Guess who fixed it, Benji? It wasn't me. It was...
Yeah, it's actually fixed. So
For anybody who maybe clicks this and is curious about what's going on, because these things live forever, we just had some issues with the stream. We don't know why. But I don't even remember where we were, guys.
hello and
Where were we?
welcome to another episode of
Hello.
the Hinge.
Oh,
was
no,
ta-
wait.
Dave was
Dave's in
talking
the bottom
about
square now.
this just simply won't do.
I'm always a...
I fixed it.
Do you feel better?
Screwed up.
Do you feel
God
better?
damn it. Okay.
I
Yeah,
feel
that's
better.
fine. Yeah.
Now
So
I'm
the
bottom
only
bitch.
thing I did differently was just restart the stream, and I changed it so it's there's a little bit more latency between when you guys type and when we see it, or between when we say something and you guys hear it. I guess I changed it to regular latency instead of ultra fast. But I've had it on ultra fast for like the last year, so
Dude,
it definitely
that,
wasn't that.
2 gigabit shit in the bed, dude. You're hosting, dude.
No,
Great
this is
speed. Get it
hosted
outta
on.
here,
This
bro.
is a browser based broadcasting software. It's not me.
Mhm.
Because if it was, it would have only been me that was choppy and not you guys.
Are you using Edge?
No,
Are you edging?
I am not edging right now.
You better not be edging live on air right now, or gooning for that
can't.
matter.
You can't tell me what to do.
Can we recap what gooning is?
No,
No.
we've already went over this. Somebody put a timestamp to one of the other shows.
Refer to the
Mods
gooning episode 286.
to goon or not to goon, I think that one was called.
Joke's on you. I know how to fast forward back to the fast latency. All right, fair enough.
All right, fine.
I don't know what that means.
No,
Brandon,
if you, yeah,
we've already introduced Dave. His story about his baby crying or something.
The child.
Yeah. Something annoying. But what about you? Do you have any children crying in your house? Or not
No,
crying.
thank God.
He didn't say crying. He said not sleeping the right way.
There's been a lot of crying in my house, but no children. So yeah, we're off the liquor tonight. A little bit of liquor. Make me a little
You're not off the
slicker.
liquor.
I'm on it, baby. I'm on it. So I'm not like. There is something I feel like when you first taste liquor, it's not like you're buzzed, but it's just like your body's like, oh, this isn't water. This is like hot water. This is like spicy water. And I'm drinking bottom shelf, baby. Only the best. Only
Yeah.
the best. Drink of choice tonight, gentlemen. EJ Apple Brandy. Cheapest of the cheap dog water bullshit. Gang gang. At the desk, by the way.
Yeah.
No
at
glass.
the desk. This is. Yeah, I drank most of that yesterday.
Brandon, do you want to disclose how you came upon that bottle of dog shit?
Oh,
liquor?
dude, yeah, this is actually a good story. So, my ex-girlfriend, my ex-fiance actually, drank almost an entire bottle of this in one sitting, and was very sick, and I had to clean it up. And then it wasn't her bottle. This was actually my brother's bottle of liquor. And then it was so bad for so many years that he never drank it because she like replaced the one that she drank. And so then I felt like by rights for the pain and suffering I was enduring post separation, that this was actually my bottle. I inherited this. This is I lost so much, but this was the one good thing I got out of the entire experience, actually. And it's not even that good. You could tell because I've described it so handsomely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your brother was not at all upset that she drank the entire bottle.
No.
He didn't want it replaced.
He didn't even ask.
Yeah.
It just got replaced. And then years later, it was dusty when I got the bottle, actually. I had to like dig it out from the back of the liquor cabinet. And it's not bad when it's really cold, but that's how you know it's bad.
Yeah.
But it just has to be just ice cold, so that way you can't taste it at all.
Yeah. Brandon, full disclosure, in the last, I don't know, let's just say 24 hours, how many times have you said the phrase to yourself or to someone else, I am the liquor Randy.
I am the liquor Randy. At least I think when I woke up in the morning and looked in the mirror, I think I said it about a dozen times. Also, shout out to Kendrick Lamar for putting out a legendary album this week. A generational album, one might say.
It is bobbing.
God bless. Anthony Fantano gave it a light 9, which is incredibly high praise for such a critical analyzer of music. And what I'll say is, I'm sorry to Canada. It's been really hard for you the past couple days since this has come out. Dave, Radic specifically, I know he's been going through it, especially with the XQC stream, with the Drake.
Sorry, I'm way behind because the morons have been out in full force in our Discord in the past few days. So did something happen? Like, did Drake clap back, as it were, or
No.
okay?
No.
Drake decided instead of suing Kendrick for calling him a pedophile, he sued Sony for promoting his album.
And
Okay.
botting almost, or like defamation.
Yeah.
I see.
And he went on an XQC stream instead of AC, which is like his biggest supporter and maybe like arguably one of the biggest names in hip hop to do streaming, period, if not the biggest. So if I was AC, I'd be hurt, man. Not that he already isn't hurt, but I think they're all meat riders anyway. So there's much more into this than you don't know. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of like soft Canadian shit going on right now that nobody in the
Can we stop associating him with the whole like?
well, except for
Canada?
Dave. Dave is the hardest motherfucker in Canada. I've said that for years, dude.
Dave, here's the thing. We may crap on Canada occasionally and you get caught up in that, but it's pretty much only for Drake. Just think of all the other people in the United States that you could crap on us for. They're everywhere. Like, it's
One's
such
gonna
an
be the
easier
president.
target. Exactly. Both the current and the next president. Like, either one. Like, you can crap on anybody. It's fine.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right, buddy.
true.
It's a clown show over here, man. Everybody. Like,
But
probably like 97% of Americans are worth being made fun of.
dude, insane though. Insane. Yeah. I don't want to dwell on it, but banger album. Radic, you cannot deny the musical force, the musical genius that is
Is there
coming
a
out
video
of the
game
studio.
news today, Ben? What are we doing here? Let's get this moving.
It's after dark now. Restart the show. We're talking about Kendrick the whole show.
We already restarted the show once. We can't do it again.
Run it back.
Run it back. Oh, was that a reference? Guys,
Squabble up.
Squabble up. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/handsomefandom, where you can sign up for as little as $1 a month to get ad-free early access to the show. I have no idea what's going to happen with this show because the only recording we have of the first part of it is marred by YouTube's terrible upload. So, sorry. But we're worth paying $1 for at least, right? Like 25 cents an episode. That's still worth it. Join us on Discord at handsomefandom.com/Discord, where you can hang out with us and all sorts of other knuckleheads talking about such stupid stuff. You can't even believe it. You'll never believe it. It's so stupid. I walked in and I said, it's so stupid. It's unfathomably stupid.
It's ridiculously stupid. I hear the new Kendrick album. People like it a lot. Radic said Luther's the only good song. I've heard many good songs off the album. TV Off's my favorite.
Let's talk about this article from Push Square. It says a new PS5 handheld device is in the works at Sony, a new report claims. This update that came on Monday, which was yesterday, said Tom Henderson says Sony started work on a PS5 handheld shortly after the release of the PlayStation Portal, which exceeded expectations. This information is pertinent because Henderson himself leaked the existence of the remote play handheld long before it was officially announced. It's safe to assume that he has some kind of insight on Sony's plans. I don't want to go too far into depth here, but Dave, why don't you take it away on what you think a PlayStation handheld means?
Trains here. I don't know. It's an interesting discussion because I feel like Sony recently kind of failed in this space, and I don't know. looking at the Portal and thinking of that as them kind of testing the waters, though, is an interesting approach. But I started to think about this a couple of weeks ago when I don't know if this is a rumor or if Microsoft actually confirmed that they were working on something handheld internally.
Phil Spencer said they were working it, but it would be a while still, is what he said.
Yeah. Okay. So and then they released that weird campaign where everything is an Xbox. But I kind of started to think about it in that lens, and I started to think about like the Steam Deck, and I'm like, I love my Switch. Like, I absolutely love it. I don't pre-order consoles very often, but I'm pretty sure I'll be day one when the Switch 2 is finally announced. And I think the reason I like the Switch so much is because of how well Nintendo's first party software translates to a small screen, a portable piece of hardware, something that has co-op in mind. And I just like, it just fits so perfectly on that. But then when I think of like my AAA consoles, I'll call them, I don't want to play God of War on a handheld. I don't want to play Elder Scrolls on a handheld. And then like something like a Steam Deck, like the reason why I haven't picked up one of those is because all the games I want to play on Steam, I want to play on Steam because I want to play on mouse and keyboard. And I just like, yeah, there's things like Deep Rock Survivor and like there are games on Steam that I think are perfect for handheld, but I don't know. This is be a tough sell for me. And the one thing I will acknowledge is when it comes to like premium quality hardware, Sony always has seemed to delivered with their have always seemed to have delivered with their handheld. So like the Vita and the PSP, those were really, really, really cool and nice and premium feeling pieces of tech. The Portal seems to be very similar, even though it looks like a monstrosity in terms of its size. But if Sony is testing the waters with the Portal, then I am really curious to see what they're actually working on and who it's supposed to appeal to, because I can't really see it being anything other than cannibalistic or just a waste of time. Because for me personally, I don't know. My Switch is my Switch. I love it, but my PlayStation, I want to play on a big TV or a really nice monitor or something like that. So I'll be curious to see what they come up with. This probably is really far down the line, but does this also potentially signal that they're slowly moving away from VR? Maybe I can't really see them focusing too much on console and then VR and mobile. But anyways, what are your guys' thoughts on something like this?
Brandon, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I mean, what I would love to see out of a Sony handheld would be something that could maybe just play PlayStation 4 games. I was doing a little bit of research and saw that like the Steam Deck is slightly equivalent to the PS4, although it is slightly underpowered and does broadcast at a low resolution. Some of the graphical performances can be side by side. It's not going to be the same as a PS4, but I think if we had maybe some proprietary software that would play PS4 games really well, I could see that being a draw. You know, play all your old games, and also have the option to stream PS5 games. I would love to see a native console come out because the Portal didn't really do it for me. Although I'm seeing some interesting stuff come out recently about the streaming that actually looks pretty decent. So I don't know. I was a huge fan of the PSP. I never had a Vita, but I thought the PSP was banging. But the landscape's a little different now. I don't see them coming out with the new successor to the PlayStation, the PSP, and having it be, or the Vita for that matter, and having it be something different than isn't already made. Like, I don't see them making specific software for the next handheld. I see it kind of maybe parodying old stuff, which I think is also a huge draw. If you can get games running decently on a much lower resolution, I think that would draw in a lot of people, including me. It would definitely intrigue me to be able to play some of my old stuff in my old PlayStation library on PlayStation Plus on the go. So, yeah, I think this is cool news. It's been rumored for a while that they might be cooking something like this, and it's kind of cool to see more substantial things come out, maybe validating this a little bit. I do tend to agree with Dave, though. I think it is quite a bit off, but I don't know. The way consoles work anymore is it's kind of weird. Things don't really launch like they used to, and it either is going to take forever or be quicker than you thought. So I don't got a good read, but I would love to be able to play some old PS4 games on the go. I think that would be like the sweet spot for me. And the most reasonable ask of something like this would be to play old titles or stream. Kind of like the Portal, but extra, right? You could do everything you could do on a Portal, but also have some extra hardware where you can natively play some stuff that's older.
I wanted to point out that, because I didn't mention this before, specifically there, Tom, or not Tom, yeah, Tom is saying it'll be for PS5 games, just to clarify. So I don't know, it's probably going to be a powerhouse that's going to be super expensive. But I wanted to, I think I mostly agree with everything both of you said, but I will offer a few rebuttals. One is that people who have a huge PlayStation library and are, for lack of a better word, loyal to that as a brand, or that is maybe not as a brand, but like that's the console they've always had, that's where their library is, whatever, I think are going to be more likely to pick this up if they want something handheld. Because like, you know, Dave, you were mentioning like when you want to play on handheld, you play on your Switch, you play Nintendo games, and you want to play mouse and keyboard, you play on your desktop. But I think a lot of people just want to be able to play the library they own, which is why the Steam Deck was so popular, in my opinion. Now, granted, there are plenty of new people to Steam and PC, but the reason that I think the Steam Deck has sold so much is because when you buy it, people are like, oh, I can just play the games I already have. And most of them I can probably play natively here instead. Or I can play remote play and all that. So I think that's a big selling point. I don't know if it deters anything from PSVR 2 or PSVR. I think that probably the thing that will deter that more is the lack of sales on the PSVR 2. Like, we haven't gotten any real good substantial numbers that indicate huge success with that. So I doubt there is any there, because you know they'd be bragging if there were. I think that's more likely unless they have some new breakthrough. I think everybody who has one and plays it says it's amazing, but there's just a dearth of content for it. So I think that overall, I think this will do well because there is a hardcore base of people who want PlayStation games and they want them on the go. The Portal has sold crazy well, and that you need to stream from your PlayStation 5, so you're already looking at an extra investment. If you could just play games natively on it, I think it would sell even better. There was something else I was going to bring up, but I can't remember what it was, so it might not have been that important. I think it was just that the Portal sold better than they were expecting. Like there were shortages and everything. And for me, that didn't appeal to me because I didn't want to have to stream from my PS5 to play it. But, you know, if there was native games, maybe. And especially because I play on PlayStation already with a controller, it's not that different to me to play it on a smaller screen. So, and I think that the only way they can get PS5 games on there is at a much lower resolution, but that doesn't matter as much when you're on a small screen as it does when you're on the big screen.
Right, exactly.
A couple things in chat. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think I was reading that the Steam Deck like pushes out 800p or something like that, and nobody really complains about that. So I think that's also a good notable factor, is that when the screen's smaller, you can get better performance.
Yeah, I mean, the smaller screen on the Steam Deck at a lower resolution, it's you obviously notice that it's not 4K, but I don't think it's as big of a deal as if you were playing at 800p on your
4K TV,
65-inch TV. Yeah. Benji says, in an era where the Series S gets dogged on for being a weaker SKU and harder to develop for, it's weird to see them want to now develop weaker hardware. Pisser or even DLSS isn't that good yet. Yeah. There'll definitely have to be some compromises there, I'd say.
DLSS isn't that good?
I mean, I don't agree with that, but a lot of people, that is a prevalent thought, is that DLSS isn't as good as it could be.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Edward says, library of 455 playable games, I assume he means, on PlayStation 5 without PS Plus, so I'm ready for a dedicated handheld.
Flex in the library.
I don't know if that means his library or there is a library that doesn't have... I think he's saying he has 455 games on PlayStation 5 and does not have PlayStation Plus. So
real G shit right there. Real Sony pony in the chat.
Another thing, Derek says, did you guys see the breaking news? Shuhei is leaving Sony. This is unrelated to the news story, but good. He's been working there for like 30, 35 years. Man, it's good. Go get some retirement. Hopefully he's retiring.
Shu's a legend. I met that G.
Yeah. Great guy. Great guy. Are we satisfied with this one?
As much
I'm
as we
very
can
satisfied.
be. Yeah.
Oh, Dave.
Well, that'll make one of us.
Speaking of Steam, we got a few different Steam announcement or Steam things here. One, this comes from Eurogamer, and it says Steam Season Pass policy updated. Warns developers must be ready to clearly communicate DLC content. Now, when a Season Pass is made available on Steam, developers must adhere to new guidelines, which include providing a complete list of DLCs in the pass, a basic description of its content, and expected release dates. Further, a Season Pass must include at least one release DLC when available for purchase. Those season passes, included in pre-purchasing a deluxe edition, are exempt. By offering a season pass, you are promising future content, Valve's new guidelines read. In the process of launching a season pass, you will be asked to commit to launch timing for each content release in the season pass. The launch timing is a commitment to both customers and to Steam. If you aren't ready to clearly communicate about the content included in each DLC and when each DLC will be ready for launch, you shouldn't offer a season pass on Steam. Valve does acknowledge development can go awry and release dates aren't always met. As such, it will allow developers to self-reschedule the release date once during a season pass, though the new date must be within 3 months of the original release date. Further, and importantly for users, if a specific DLC in the season pass is canceled, customers will be offered a refund for the value of the unreleased DLC. Pretty consumer-friendly stuff going on right here, man. It wouldn't be the first time for a game to announce DLC and then either take forever or not put it out at all, and they sell you on a season pass or upgrade into a deluxe edition. This is maybe not the game's fault, but I remember Dustin tells a story pretty frequently of how he bought Fallout 4's season pass or all their DLCs before they were even like announced what they were going to be. And he was just like, yeah, I gotta have it. And then I don't think he ever played them. And I've probably done something stupid like that in the past too. It's very tempting to get wrapped up in a game you're super excited for and just be like, yeah, I'm gonna want to play that eventually. Might as well get it now while it's cheaper, bundled in. Dave, what do you think about this? What do you think about Steam being Mr. Nice Guy here?
Yeah,
or is this just to protect Steam?
Well, it's good guy Steam strikes again. You said right off the top consumer friendly, and that's what this is, and that's what Steam always has been. So I think what they're doing here is in the best interest of both themselves and the consumer. And I do wonder, like, if Sony and Microsoft follow suit in some way. And the reason I say that is because if the PC market is growing the way it is, and you're launching a game on console and PC, and Steam has this stipulation where you have to have a pretty clear roadmap before you start charging for a season's pass, then that developer or publisher is going to have to do the same theoretically on console releases. So maybe Sony and Microsoft could follow suit. And the reason why I think they would, and this is where I think this is in Steam's favor, is Steam is famous for its return policy. It's one of the most lax things. It makes Costco look like border services. Like it's just, you download a game, you can play it for 2 hours, and if you don't like it, you can return it, no questions asked. And that's great, but that comes at a cost, because reversing those transactions is not free. Having a staff member, if not several staff members, who oversee that process and administer it and reconcile it is not cheap. And I read something somewhere recently that like the number of refunds that Steam processes daily there are a lot. So the fact that Steam is making this investment into their service is great. So I think the fact that they're clamping down on the developer side rather than on the consumer side is a really, really good thing. So I think this is great. Going back to what you mentioned about buying DLC in advance, I did this once too for Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I just got really excited and I bought like the deluxe edition with all the DLC, and I ended up playing all of it, and it was worth it to me, and it was really good DLC for Odyssey. But I remember getting to the end and being like, I'm never going to do that again, because I am so burnt out on this game. So not really related to the story, but yeah, that was the one time I bought a whole bunch of DLC up front and regretted it in the end. So yeah.
Brendan, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, I mean, you guys kind of said it all. I think this is obviously a consumer play, but I think it also covers them as well. I don't know what would happen legally if somebody tried to sue Steam. Like, let's say a game you pay for DLC, right? And it doesn't come out. Could a consumer sue Steam for selling it?
Probably.
Or would they sue the developer?
If you have the right attorney, you can sue anyone. Doesn't mean you'll win, but you can name them in a lawsuit for sure.
Right. So yeah, I mean, obviously, I think this is twofold. I think this is good for them and good for the consumer, and it seems like a lot of the times that's what Steam does. So I'm not going to tread over what you guys said, but really, you're spot on. So
Thanks, man.
Yeah, appreciate you the affirmation. Thank you. Another story here with Steam. It says this is kind of irrelevant to most people probably watching this show, but it says Steam has died its final death on Windows 7 and 8. Nearly a year after Valve ended support, new Steam updates will no longer function on the ancient OSs. If you were still gaming on, this is from PC Gamer, by the way. If you were still gaming on Windows 7 or 8 in 2024, almost 2 years after Microsoft itself abandoned its own children, it's definitely time for an upgrade. Steam's most recent client update is the first to not work on old operating systems, more than 11 months after Valve announced it would stop supporting them. This version of the Steam client will no longer run on Windows 7 or Windows 8. Users on these Steam OS versions will not automatically update to the new version of the Steam client. Really, the news is less that you can no longer download the latest version of Steam on Windows 7 and 8, but that it took this long to happen after Valve announced the end of support for them back in January. I'm not going to read all the rest of this, but I mean, this is kind of an obvious thing, right? It's like, they're not going to put out updates for... I have to imagine the amount of people still using Windows 7 and 8 that aren't in a cheap office, working for a cheap employer, are pretty low at this point, right?
Still on XP, man.
Man.
dude, somebody's grandfather is like devastated right now. Like honestly, they're
he just got into Balatro and it's over for him.
He like just finished a 300-hour campaign on Civ 2. And is like completely devastated that he's not going to be able to play Medal of Honor next week.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, there are a lot of there are probably a lot of games that could still run, like even modern. Like you mentioned, Balatro was kind of a joke, but Balatro could probably run on Windows 8. Maybe not
easily.
Super well or in high graphic mode, but
well, dude, I just saw something today. Not that the file size of the program is the entire indication of how it would run on something, but it's certainly some indication. I saw today that Balatro is like, yeah, the file size for our trailer for the game is bigger than the game.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Which, in fairness, a 4K 1 minute trailer could be like a couple gig. So
Right.
It's
Yeah,
not.
still.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I saw somebody say that this has been a little while back, and I asked my friend Matt about it, who's a programmer. Something about the code for Balatro is just a mess. It's just like a giant list of if-then statements, which is kind of awesome, actually. Maybe it's cleaned up a little bit now. I don't know, but I think that's awesome. That it's just like literally just one dude doing the programming the way he knew how. That rules, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Speaking of Balatro, let's move on to the next story here. Balatro's mobile release has managed the almost impossible task of knocking Minecraft from its long-maintained spot on the charts. Much like the flu that has struck down half the PC Gamer team this week, this is from PC Gamer, by the way, Balatro fever continues to spread. It's been steadily rising in popularity since its Steam release earlier this year. It's managed to nab an impressive 5 nominations at the Game Awards, and now, in yet another incredible feat, Local Funk's Poker Roguelite has done the impossible. It's actually knocked Minecraft from its number 1 spot on the mobile charts. Kids of the Craft are presumably in shambles. This is the case for both the iOS App Store and the Google Play charts, with Balatro taking the top spot in the paid games category and knocking Minecraft down to the second spot. Lots more here to read if you want to go check it out. Minecraft, of course, is, I think it's about $10, right? Let me just read this paragraph. It's also worth noting that Balatro is one of the most expensive games on the charts right now, at least in the UK anyway. It's $9.99 compared to Minecraft $6.99. Though both games are $9.99 in the US. Compare that to the cheaper Stardew Valley, $6.99 US, even lower still. So it is, it's $10, but that's not insane compared to other, good games on OS or on mobile OSs. Here's my main question about this. Who doesn't own Minecraft yet that wants it? Why was it still the top?
New kids are being born every day.
13 years after its initial release. Maybe not on the App Store, but 13 years after. That's insane to me that it's managed to maintain that level of popularity for that long. But guys, any thoughts on this?
Crazy.
Do you want to congratulate Local Thunk? You want to talk about mobile gaming?
Yeah, this is insane. I think I saw something of him tweeting at the Golden Joystick Awards. And was like, I never thought this would be possible. I was just making a game in my spare time, and this is surreal. And yeah, it is really cool, man. It's really cool to see a story like this. We do see it every once in a while with games like Stardew Valley, and other smaller titles like Minecraft towards the beginning. And yeah, it's kind of inspiring, really. To anyone who is interested in getting into games, that something that you do, even if it's coded poorly, has been mentioned, could potentially rock the entire industry at its highest form, at its peak, and could knock things out of the Game of the Year category that had hundreds and hundreds of employees being paid many hundreds of thousands of dollars to be made. So yeah, this is always a good thing, but I'm just glad to see that this sort of thing still happens, even in the incredibly saturated market that is gaming right now. If you make a good and interesting and fun and innovative product, regardless of who you are or what talents you have or how good you are at coding, a good idea executed properly and in the right hands can really, really shake things up at the top. Seriously, it's really, really cool, and to see it dethrone Minecraft is like a whole nother level of success, truly. So
yeah, that's why I'll never give up my dream of being a go-go dancer in Vegas. But
okay.
Dave, any thoughts here?
Yeah, same. Just want to echo what Brandon said. It sounds cheesy, but it's kind of inspiring. And this is the second example that I can think of this year, because Lethal Company comes to mind too, where it's just one person who makes a game that's an overnight success. And Ben and I spend a little bit of time engaging with indie developers and something else we do, and we kind of see firsthand how discouraged people can get about this, and not everybody's gonna go viral with games like Lethal Company and Balatro have, but it's stick with it. There's lots of room out there to make something crazy, and yeah, it's great to see this, and hopefully we see more. And I feel like things got really saturated in like the Xbox arcade, or shortly after the Xbox Live Arcade era, and things seem to be kind of coming back to life now, especially with how expensive large scale game development has become. So it's always great to see these smaller scale games make a big splash. So good for them.
Yeah. Let me see here. Googling something. Okay.
Did you play Balatro, Brandon?
I've watched people play it. I've not played it. I have it downloaded.
Brandon, playing it will make you happier, if that helps. Convince you.
I don't think anything will make me happy, Ben. I think that's the crux of my personality disorder.
It will make you. It won't make you unhappy. How's that? How's that? It won't make you less happy.
Will it drown out the voices?
It might. It's so soothing.
I might give it a go then. I'm going to be... No, the only thing that's going to happen is I will be getting the buffoon card, because I am the buffoon in this scenario.
Brandon, you don't even like story in video games, and there is no story, basically. So it's golden for you.
Golden, baby. Gambling.
That's right. This is just a kind of a small update here, but I don't want to talk about it. Black Ops 6 is gigantic. Call of Duty account tweeted out, thank you to... I actually wrote Gigantic. Sorry, not huge. I wrote huge in the notes and then gigantic on the. Never mind.
Which one is it?
Thank you to the Call of Duty community for making the launch of Black Ops 6 one for the record books. It says number one total hours played, number one in hours played, or I'm sorry, number one in total players, number one in hours played, number one in total matches. In the first 30 days from launch, together you made Black Ops 6 the biggest Call of Duty ever. Now, you might say, Ben, of course it's the biggest Call of Duty ever. It's on Game Pass. That's like 30 million people who can just play it for free. But I'm pretty certain, I can't find this number now, that I saw a number recently that said that 86% of sales of Call of Duty were on PlayStation. That includes PC. That includes Xbox, although you could make the case that maybe there are a lot more people playing on Xbox because, you know, it's included with Game Pass. But still, that includes PC, which is where you would think a ton of people want to play a first-person shooter. So this game is massive. As of 3 weeks ago, Call of Duty has sent, Black Ops 6 has sent Call of Duty over 500 million copies sold, and pretty much guaranteed it's the largest franchise in history. Although it also has like 30 entries, but that's another story. Brandon, sound off on this.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is huge. We kind of were suspecting that it was going to be a really big year for Call of Duty. I've also seen some like mixed reporting, and I'd have to like get some substantiation. But I was seeing people reporting that there also was a massive spike in Game Pass subscribers due to this. I'd like to get some solid numbers if they're out there. I didn't do the research before the show, but maybe someone in Discord can sound off.
I'm happy to jump in there, Brendan, if you like.
Yeah, go ahead.
Matt Piscatella reported.
Non-mobile video game subscription spending industry-wide was up. So industry-wide was up 16% year over year in the month of October. So Microsoft hasn't released any numbers yet, but the industry was up as a whole 16%.
Yeah.
So it's a big spike.
Yeah, I would imagine that had a lot to do with this. So yeah, just happy to see it. I hope they can kind of maintain steam. We know how these sort of things go. Even right now, as it stands, we have 148,000 people in Steam alone playing the game. So to think that, what'd you say, 96%?
I think it was like 86% is what this is.
82%.
82.
Yep. Let's just say 80% of the player base. We have a figure of almost 150,000 people playing, where 80% of the players aren't even right now. So think about that. So yeah, I mean, obviously we got like huge numbers here, and this is good, I guess, for them. I guess it's good for the industry overall, and good for someone who's a fan of Call of Duty. But yeah, I'm finally glad that we're getting something good, and I'm not surprised at all that it's this one, based off of everything that we've seen. So,
Davey.
Yeah, I'm surprised, and it's nothing against Call of Duty. It's nothing against the Black Ops sub franchise, but I don't understand how this franchise hasn't lost steam. It's picking up steam. It's and the formula hasn't changed. I mean, we got Warzone, but I don't think that really plays into this. But I can't believe that Call of Duty seems to just not be losing any trajectory, and people are still buying it at the pace they are, considering the experience is so very similar, but which again isn't a bad thing. Like don't fix what ain't broken, but it's just mind blowing, and like we're living in it. But when this is all over, we're like, Call of Duty is going to be something that transcends our industry. So it's just insane to see, and especially for a Black Ops entry, because I always kind of felt like Modern Warfare was the sexy kind of Call of Duty, and it was the one that was always going to do the biggest numbers, and Black Ops was, a premium thing, but it was always kind of the in-between. But yeah, this is, I can't explain how Call of Duty is still doing this. The two stats that we talked about, the 16% year over year subscription increase industry wide, that's huge. Just the fact that this has sent a ripple through the entire industry when it comes to subscription increases is crazy. But the one I need to get more context on is the 80% 82% of Black Ops 6 full dollar sales were on PS5. I don't know what to make of that, because if you were traditionally somebody who was playing on Xbox, then it just makes sense that you were not going to buy the game at full price because you probably have Game Pass. So I assume that those sales, that percentage just was eaten up by PlayStation. So is 20% on or let's call it 15% on PC, is that lower than the previous year? Is it higher? Like, I don't know what to make of that number, and I would be really curious to see where Modern Warfare 2 from 2 years ago was. And I see Brandon is typing something there, and if he's able to find it, I'd be really interested to see what the breakdown was 2 years ago. Modern Warfare 3, not really interested in that, but yeah, Call of Duty is it's up there with GTA. It really is.
Dave, here's an interesting stat that Benji put in from Matt Piscatella, and says, on October 28th, 4 days after the game's launch, 52% of all active Xbox players and 34% of all active PlayStation 5 players launched Call of Duty. 34% of active players on PS5. That's not including PS4. All Xbox players, I think it's only on Xbox Series X and S. I don't think it's on Xbox One. No, maybe it is. I think it is on Xbox One, actually, which is insane, first of all. 52% launched it there, and I would imagine that somewhat of a bump there is because of Game Pass. So even at it being on Game Pass, that still inspired for Call of Duty only to have, pound per pound, whatever, 18% more players play it on Xbox, which is crazy.
Yeah. Okay, Dave. So in October of 2022, which is when Modern Warfare 2 came out, that month had a peak player of 262,000 players, and in November it had 488,000, which is where it peaked at the following month. So far in the last 30 days, it's had 313,000 as a peak, so it's actually down.
So is there? What I want to know is the console breakdown, and
That
what that 82% means, because it sounds like a big number, but I feel like most people most years would be buying it on PlayStation. Maybe that number is a little bit lower, but again, those people who normally bought it full dollar on Xbox aren't.
Right.
So that skews the number up for PlayStation.
Yeah. So I guess there's like a little bit. There's about 100,000, a little less than 100,000 more at launch for this game than there was for Modern Warfare 2. And the second month substantially jumped up. So if we're to assume that there will be a similar bump across the other platforms, I mean, that it seems pretty safe. And I wouldn't even be surprised if the numbers were pretty. I don't know. Do you guys think there's double the amount of players? No, we just said there's an insane amount more. Could we even give an estimation as to how many players we think might be on console if right now there is 167,000 on Steam?
Well, I'd say there's more, for sure.
Yeah.
So that's just the Steam numbers. We're also on PC. We're also looking at the PC Xbox launcher, or the Microsoft Game Store, and the Battle.net. So I'd say, but easy 250, if not more. I mean, Steam's probably the biggest place for it, but an easy 250 on Steam, and that's just concurrent. That's not overall sales. So I don't know, but it is interesting that in September we got the number. No, I'm sorry, it was June. We got the number 28.3 million Xbox Series consoles. So there are, I mean, it kind of makes sense in one respect that there are more PlayStation 5 consoles out there, and definitely PlayStation 4 consoles, than there are Xbox Series and Xbox One combined. So, of course, you're going to have more sales. Even if there was no Game Pass involved, you're still going to have more sales on PlayStation. Don't get me wrong. Okay. But you're definitely going to have less sales. Now, Xbox may end up making... I mean, Xbox is making all the money, I guess, because they own Activision now. But the actual people purchasing or renting the game on Xbox may actually end up making them more money over time than just the raw sales on PlayStation. But we'll see. I wonder which console or platform buys the most DLC, because there's a ton of stuff to buy in Call of Duty. So many skins and guns and everything. It's insane. Benji brought up a point. He said maybe PC Game Pass cannibalizes the numbers that you mentioned there, the Steam numbers. I'd say somewhat, maybe not entirely, but it's very clear just based on the numbers we've been given that the game is huge no matter where people are playing it or if they bought it or they're playing on Game Pass. I mentioned this months ago, but I do know that so many people who are playing on Game Pass paid the extra $30 for the Vault Edition.
Right.
Which, then they get a subscription, plus they get a $30 extra bump. On top of that, they own the game, so they're getting all the revenue from it, not just the 30% or whatever. And then, or not just the subtracting 30%. And then on top of that, you have the likelihood that if you bought a $30 DLC Vault Edition, you are more likely to stay subscribed for longer and also to buy more DLC in the future.
Right.
So the game is insane. It's massive.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah. Let's move on to the last news story here. Mortal Kombat 1 DLC has been canceled after poor expansion sales, it is claimed. Insider Gaming says it appears as though future content for Mortal Kombat 1 is ending after Combat 2-Pack wraps up. According to new claims, developer NetherRealm Studios has canceled DLC plans for a Combat Pack 3 and a second story expansion for Mortal Kombat 1. Known Mortal Kombat 1 leaker, Fate Unknown, posted on Reddit that the cancellations happened recently after the Chaos Reigns expansion sold poorly. It's not all bad for Mortal Kombat 1 fans, as there are still characters from the Combat Pack 2 to join the roster, such as Conan the Barbarian and T-1000 from Terminator 2. Fate Unknown also said it's possible a cameo or two make it into the game due to work that had already been done on them, but he didn't know yet. Brandon, you're the Mortal Kombat guy amongst us. What do you make?
Yeah, I mean, this comes off the back of us talking about Warner Brothers a week or two ago. They're kind of hurting right now in a lot of ways, and that's not surprising based off of some of the failures that they've had recently. I was the one a couple weeks ago that also said that I surmised that Mortal Kombat 1 wasn't doing so hot. I know that Mortal Kombat 11 had like a huge spike in popularity, and even based off of raw numbers, I kind of assumed that there was a large fall off, and this kind of confirms that. So, albeit not a bad game, a game I didn't like as much as the previous one, but yeah, this just sucks to see, I guess, especially when the series was kind of, I don't want to say going on the up and up, because they have been for a little bit now. Like Mortal Kombat X was good, Mortal Kombat 11 was good, and it felt like they were just going up and up, and it's kind of a bummer to see them plateau a little bit. I guess this is kind of how it goes when you get big, and I still think in a lot of ways fighting games are still pretty niche as far as the genre goes, and even if it is one of the biggest ones, I still think that most people might know what Mortal Kombat is, but I don't know that most people want to play Mortal Kombat as a whole. When you just take the industry wide. So, yeah, man, sucks to see, but I just hope this doesn't mean bad things for the future of Mortal Kombat, because whenever you get a game that underperforms, Warner Brothers seems pretty apt to kind of like shit on development at this point based off of what we've seen and put their resources into the wrong places. So, as a fan of the series, and as someone who has seen it grow in popularity, even if it has plateaued, I hope they can kind of learn from this and the next iteration, Mortal Kombat 2, or whatever the fuck they're going to call it. We'll kind of learn from the mistakes here and maybe just kind of hope to break even. Maybe we don't need DLC. Maybe we can just give you all the characters and then that's it.
Yeah. Dave, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fighting game person, but I have a lot of respect for the Mortal Kombat series, as everybody should. It's been kind of a mainstay in our industry for a long time. So, but I do kind of feel like we've been a little bit oversaturated with this franchise over the past several years. I just feel like there's been, sorry to say, too much Mortal Kombat, and I'm not entirely surprised to see that this DLC was canceled. On another note, I do think there is a bit of a positive to this story, which is that I said in the past that I don't like DLC when it feels like it was already finished as part of the initial development process and was just kind of withheld. Because if it's part of the game that you've made originally, then why not just give it to your players and withhold content just to charge them more money later? So the thing I like to hear about this is extra content that they hadn't actually developed yet, and they were waiting to see if there was a market for it, and clearly there wasn't. I think this is the right approach. I think this is a good way to do right by your consumers, is to maybe don't withhold that content and make it after the fact if there's a market for it. And clearly in this case there wasn't. But the fact that this was going to be the third DLC pack and story. So it sounds like if you bought Mortal Kombat 1, like you still got a decent chunk of DLC, so it's not all bad. And then building off that, we talked 2 weeks ago about how WB was kind of analyzing its portfolio and was going to focus on key franchises. And Mortal Kombat was one of the ones they named. So, if there was any fear that this would signal that Mortal Kombat was going on ice, I think WB has kind of said that they're committed to this franchise along with Batman and Lord of the Rings and the Portkey stuff. So, I don't know. I think for Mortal Kombat fans, this things will be fine, and if anything, it sounds like WB is going to focus a little bit more, and the franchise will probably be better off for it. So, yeah.
Agreed. On all the above. And I don't think I have much to add there. Let's go ahead and talk about what we've been playing. I'll start because my list is pretty boring in that it's the same list from last week and mostly the same week from the week before. I don't have a lot new to say. Black Ops 6, still playing a little bit, at least every night or every other night. Planning on hopping in tomorrow for Prop Hunt because I love Prop Hunt. Should be a good time. Still playing Hunt, although the event is over, the battle pass is finished, so we wait until the next one. But I love Hunt, and it's so good. Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket. Not a lot new to report there. Struggling to get new cards, but that's okay. Because it's just fun to play, to open the packs, to do the battles. I'm enjoying it. And then Overwatch 2 is kind of the newer thing. I think I mentioned it last week, maybe briefly, but got into Overwatch 2 again for the third time. Mostly playing it with a few buddies. My buddy Brad, Lockmort, Justin. We've been playing a lot of competitive, and we have some really, really good nights and then some really bad nights. And it seems like there's never a mixed night. It's either all good or all bad. Yeah. So it's been really interesting. As someone who played a lot of the first of Overwatch 1 at the beginning and did not play a whole lot of it at the end of Overwatch, I've kind of forgotten about all the stuff I didn't like about Overwatch 2 when it came out. Mostly because it doesn't matter, because I'm just playing it with my friends to have fun right now. And I don't know. I don't love the fact that I still don't love the fact that it's 5 players instead of 6 in Overwatch 2. They have Classic in right now, so you can always go back and play that if you choose to. But I'm having a great time with it. I'm really just playing Overwatch so I can get my my skills, gathered up for when Marvel Rivals comes out on December 6th. My new career plan is I'm going pro, so look forward to that. Be ready to support me financially as I go pro in Marvel Rivals. I'm not really planning on going pro, but I am going to play the hell out of it, most likely. And I expect both of you to play it with me at least once.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I got. Brandon, why don't you go next? Because yours is equally boring to mine.
Yeah, mine's not great. I've been playing Black Ops. Season 1's still great. I've really dug deeper into the camo grind. I have maybe about a half dozen gold weapons now. Just kind of going through. I made it into the second prestige, so I have maybe 3 assault rifles, and I think maybe 2 SMGs now gold. So, yeah, just kind of going about it. I plan to mostly stick with the assault rifles because I think that the assault rifles in this game are still significantly better than the SMGs. But yeah, it's kind of giving me something to toy around with, something to keep the mind busy. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun kind of being back on that grind. But really, that's about it. I need to, and think I will get back into Red Dead over Thanksgiving break. So
Cool.
we'll see. We'll see.
Dave?
Yeah, nothing new for me. Just been sinking more time into Ghostwire Tokyo, and I think sinking time into it is a good way to put it because I think I'm close to 10 hours in, and I'm feeling the repetition, but there's something about this game that is I don't feel like I'm just pushing towards the end, like I'm actually enjoying just doing the stuff in the game, and the story is really cool, and like the side missions are surprisingly interesting. Ben, I don't know. Well, you got the platinum, so you must have done this one, but there was one side mission which turned into be a couple of missions in a school. And you actually got this little prompt when you did it where it's like, when you start this mission, you can't leave the school until you finish. And it was really unsettling. Like,
Yeah.
I knew this game had a horror theme to it, but I wasn't expecting the kind of the unsettling feeling that so many different aspects of this game would give me. And it's been a lot more impactful than I was expecting for a game like this. But yeah, it's just everything you do is so visually appealing, and I'll say that even feeling like the combat itself, again, it looks great, but I wish there was a little bit more weight to what you were doing. It feels a lot like Skyrim combat to me, where everything just feels a little bit light and not as impactful, but it just looks so damn cool that it's I don't care. So yeah, I'm having a really good time with Ghostwire Tokyo, and I don't know if I'm going to platinum it, but I could see myself, just because I see something on the map and I go do it, and I go see somewhere and I forget what I was doing in the first place. So yeah, this is a really good game, and again, it's on PS Plus this month, so if you don't play it, just download it now if you haven't already. Add it to your library, because it's when you have a hankering for an open world game, this one does it really, really well. So
Yeah. I love that game. I have thought about going back and playing it because I think it's on Game Pass now too. So maybe some month when I don't have anything else to play, which I don't know when that's ever going to be, I can go get the 1,000 gamer score on Xbox or something.
Wait a minute. So Derek O just said in the chat, do not try to platinum Ghostwire. Collecting all of those souls will destroy any enjoyment you feel. So sorry, to get the platinum, you have to go and get every single soul in the game? Oh, fuck that. No.
Yes.
No.
That's why I said at one point, like, there's a lot of other stuff too, but I think I said at one point that I love the game, and then when I decided I just wanted to play more of it, and then I was like, oh, I'm so close to the platinum. By the end of that, I didn't like the game. Yeah. But I mean, it wasn't because the game was bad or it got bad. I was just tired of it. So yeah, it is a lot. It is a lot.
Maybe I won't do that. But.
There are some things you can do to make it easier on yourself. I think there's some. It's been a while since I played it now, but I think there's some skills and some other stuff you can do to make it easier to find some of those souls. But it's still not a great time at the end there when you've got everything else done and you're just grinding out finding those last few souls. It's rough. Yeah.
The fabled short show. It happened.
Well, there's another part of the show that isn't attached to this, so it's probably about a normal show length.
Yeah.
All right. Guys, you got a title for this show? We gotta come up with it before we leave.
Good Guys Team.
Good Guys Team. Perfect. See, that's so easy and stupid. Sorry, Dave. No, it's not meant to be offensive, but it's so easy, and I just can't do it though. Like my mind, I can't do it.
Can't do what?
Come up with a name like that.
Okay. Well,
like
that's why they pay me the big bucks.
That's right. Speaking of big bucks, don't forget you can pay us the big bucks or the little bucks over at patreon.com/handsomephantom. Little is $1 a month. Appreciate your help there.
No 25% tariff on Patreon supporters.
Not that we know of, at least. Yeah. And, we only ask you for $1 a month, but most people give $5, and some people give more than that. So if you really love us so much that you're like, how can I give you more money? Patreon.com/handsofephantom. Don't forget the Discord as well. handsofephantom.com/Discord. We appreciate you being there. I think that's everything.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, Ben. I completely forgot the most important thing that I was going to latch on to what I've been playing. I'm sorry. We can't end the show without talking about official Deep Rock Galactic merch. Finally. And not only that, there's a Kickstarter coming where you can support and eventually get an actual 3D printed official Deep Rock Galactic mug that you can actually drink out of. It's not like a beer cozy. It's an actual mug. So
yeah.
Big things
I don't know why
happening.
you had to tell me about this the other day and tempt me with it.
I'm sorry.
But it's really cool. It is actually really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Check it out. Google it.
Is that all, Dave? Can we end now?
That's it.
Are we
Sorry.
good? Okay. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you later.